Orders of the day.
Thank you, Speaker. Government Notice of Motion Number 94.
Government Notice of Motion Number 94. Mr. Phillips.
Recognize Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I moved, seconded by Premier Doug Ford, that this House approves in general the budgetary policy of the government.
Mr. Phillips has moved, seconded by Mr. Ford, that this House approves in general the budgetary policy of the government. And I recognize the Minister of Finance.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In March of this year, when I introduced the first phase of Ontario's action plan, COVID-19 had only just begun to be part of our daily lives. For so many in this province, it was a time of anxiety, a time of worry, and a time of fear. Fear for our health, fear for the health of our loved ones. For frontline workers, it was a time of anxiety about what was to come. And for many others, there was real worry about whether their jobs, their businesses, their ability to earn a living and support their family would survive the pandemic. At that time, Premier Ford made a simple, non-negotiable promise to the people of Ontario. Your government will do whatever it takes to get you through this. In the ensuing 8 months, we have remained focused every single day on living up to that promise, to do what it takes to protect you. This promise has not changed, and it will not change. We will do whatever it takes to protect and support the people of Ontario, today, tomorrow, and every day. Now, in the past 9 months, some things have changed. For one, we know more about this virus and how it is transmitted, and how we can protect ourselves, and who is most at risk. This has informed our government's approach to public health on the necessary steps to stay ahead of the virus, knowing that it is better to be a week early than a week late when it comes to people's health. It has informed our approach to reopening our economy in a way that is flexible and adaptable to changing circumstances, and it has informed the approach we are taking today. Mr. Speaker, I rise to introduce the next phase in our government's response to COVID-19, Ontario's Action Plan, Protect, Support and Recover. It is a 3-year budget that builds on our $30 billion initial response. It is a plan that provides as much certainty as is possible during uncertain times, ensuring that we are always there to support those most in need. Today's plan continues to support our frontline healthcare workers. It continues to support those hardest hit by COVID-19, and it provides relief for families, workers, businesses and communities while laying the groundwork for our economy's recovery. Mr. Speaker, this is not the first very difficult time that our province or our country has faced. Next week, we mark Remembrance Day. We will pause to remember our Canadian heroes. From Vimy Ridge to Kandahar, they served to make Canada the best country in the world, a place where we can all be proud that we can call it home, and a country that we can all be proud to continue to build. This marks 75 years since the end of the Second World War. More than 1 million Canadians wore the uniform during that conflict. 55,000 were wounded, 45,000 made the ultimate sacrifice. While we honour our heroes, let us not forget that winning that war required sacrifice from all of Canada's then 11 million citizens. Everyone on the home front pulling together to support those who served on the front lines. Canadians were called upon to be great, and they were. Mr. Speaker, today's fight is different. The front lines are our hospitals, our schools, our long-term care homes. And while many of our frontline heroes still wear uniforms, many do not. And this time, our enemy, COVID-19, does not wear one either. But what has not changed is that once again, it's up to all of us to do our part to help our heroes win this fight. And Mr. Speaker, for all of the challenges the virus has caused, it has also exposed the greatness of the people of Ontario. People like Cecilia, a PSW in Timmins, who compassionately cares for her patients day and night. And Walter, a school custodian in Etobicoke. He stays late every single day to make sure that his school is clean for his students. And Katrina, an ICU nurse in North York, and devoted mom of 3, who provides exceptional care to patients in their greatest hour of need. Mr. Speaker, there are millions of people across Ontario, like Cecilia, Walter, and Katrina, who contribute every day to our fight against COVID-19. And on behalf of our Premier and this entire chamber, today I want to say thank you. Our province has been through difficult times and come through stronger. In the past 9 months, our collective strength has been tested. We know that COVID-19 is unrelenting. Mr. Speaker, there are countless examples of jurisdictions around the world that have let their guard down and are paying a steep price. Our government is determined to avoid those mistakes. That said, Mr. Speaker, no government is perfect. We respect those from outside the government who, in good faith, call for different decisions and different approaches. But please understand the difference. When the pundit or the critic gets it wrong, the consequences are minor. When the government gets it wrong, people's lives are at stake. And every decision we make is heavy with the knowledge that lives are at stake. That is what I know keeps the Premier up at night. It's what I know keeps the Minister of Health up at night. It's what keeps me and our entire government working through the night. But it is also what gets us up in the morning. We all have a job to do, all 14.5 million of us. On March 25th, I introduced Ontario's action plan responding to COVID-19, the first phase of our response to the global pandemic, which was ultimately $30 billion, including $7.7 billion for frontline health care, $11 billion in direct support for people and jobs, $11.3 billion in relief measures for individuals, businesses that would improve their cash flow. Ontario was the first government in Canada to provide a financial and economic update amidst the global crisis, because the Premier and I are committed to being transparent and accountable with the public. These principles of accountability and transparency continue today. Because as any family or business understands, it's important to have a plan, especially amidst uncertainty. Our initial $30 billion response to COVID-19 has funded extended testing capacity. It's invested in domestic PPE manufacture and delivered support for people, businesses and communities. And now, as we face a second wave, our plan has adapted to reflect the current needs of the people of Ontario. Our plan has 3 pillars: protect, support and recover. First, we are taking steps to protect people from this deadly virus by increasing our health investments to $15.2 billion. Second, we are building on our earlier relief to provide a total of $13.5 billion of direct support for families, workers and employers, in addition to $11.3 billion in cash flow support. And third, we are removing barriers to recovery and providing $4.8 billion to protect and create jobs now and in the future. Mr. Speaker, this next phase of our action plan brings our COVID-19 response to $45 billion over 3 years. This budget is unprecedented in that it also includes 3 possible economic scenarios that could impact the trajectory of our recovery on COVID-19. We've done this because the people of Ontario deserve transparency about the public's finances, especially at such an exceptional time. It is no secret that our government inherited a challenging financial situation. Ideally, governments, like families, budget prudently during good times in order to have flexibility in tough times. Unfortunately, that didn't always happen in Ontario. But the good news is that our government made significant progress towards a sustainable financial path before COVID-19. That progress enables our $45 billion response as outlined in today's budget. As the people understand, the current level of government spending is neither sustainable nor desirable in the long run. But as a global pandemic continues around the world, it is absolutely necessary today. Mr. Speaker, our deficit is projected to be $38.5 billion, unchanged from what I reported in the first quarter finances this summer. We are projecting that the deficit will decrease to $33.1 billion next year and $28.2 billion the following year. We are not alone in facing these fiscal challenges. They're faced by countries and provinces and states all around the world. But we remain confident in our balanced and responsible approach to Ontario's finances. There is still great uncertainty in the global economy, and this means more risk to the Ontario budget, just as it does for family and business budgets. That is why we are setting aside $4 billion next year and $2 billion the year after that in dedicated pandemic contingency funds to ensure resources are there when they are needed for our citizens. Nobody knows for certain what direction the pandemic will take or what direction the economy will take. We need to be prepared for anything, which is why I will continue to provide regular public updates to the province on our finances each quarter. We will return to the normal budget calendar with another multi-year update by the end of March of next year. As time goes on, the impacts of COVID-19 will begin to recede, and then so will this uncertainty. I look forward to the day when the people of Ontario can once again see certainty in the long-term fiscal plan, because that is when COVID-19 will be behind us. The time will come when we will once again gather in groups in restaurants and in arenas across the province, where you won't have to wear a mask to shop for your groceries. But until then, Mr. Speaker, we are asking the people of Ontario to remain prudent and vigilant, and their government will do the same. Mr. Speaker, protect is the first pillar of our plan. It represents our most fundamental responsibility. The people of Ontario have done and are doing their part by following public health advice. And we, as a government, are doing ours. We are spending a total of $8.3 billion this year to support our frontline healthcare heroes and protect people from COVID-19. This includes supporting 141 hospitals and healthcare facilities, 626 long-term care homes. Mr. Speaker, COVID-19 has added extraordinary costs to hospital budgets. So I am today announcing an additional $572 million to ensure Ontario hospitals have the necessary resources to provide the care that is needed. That means in total, hospitals will receive $2.5 billion more than last year. Since March, we've been working with our hospital partners and added 3,100 hospital beds to ensure the communities are ready for every scenario. Ontario has built the most robust testing network in the country, which includes 161 assessment centres, 170 participating pharmacies, and 40 community-based mobile testing units. We are leading the country with over 5.3 million tests done since March. Over the last 8 months, our testing capacities have increased tenfold, thanks to our incredible healthcare workers and lab technicians who have not stopped since the pandemic started. Mr. Speaker, the Premier has led the charge, calling for the federal government to approve rapid tests so that people can get their results quicker. Progress has been made. 110 PCR-based rapid test analyzers have been shipped to us and will be in use within a few days. Antigen-based tests are now ramping up and will be in use soon. This is good news because rapid testing needs to be deployed in Ontario and in Canada as soon as possible. These new rapid tests will be deployed next week in some of our highest need and remote communities. Since March, we've purchased $1.1 billion in personal protective equipment to protect our frontline heroes and make sure they can do their essential work safely. That's 300 million masks, 900 million gloves, 50 million gowns, 6 million face shields. Our Ontario manufacturing workers are the best in the world, showing their incredible Ontario spirit. They have retooled to make critical medical supplies available during global shortages. Thanks to partnerships with industry, supported by our Ontario Together Fund, manufacturers now produce masks, gloves, gowns, hand sanitizers, and sanitizing wipes right here at home. Thanks to strategic investments by the Ontario and federal governments, we will soon be mass-producing N95 respirators and vital ventilators for Canada and the world. Now, just as Ontario has the best manufacturers in the world, we also have some of the best researchers. We've invested in Ontario scientists, racing to find treatments and cures for COVID-19. And we are building on that. Today, as part of our commitment to protect people and the environment, we are investing $37 million to protect our community's water supply. This includes $12 million to detect COVID-19 in wastewater. This innovation will help detect outbreaks early, ensuring public health measures can be timely and targeted. Ontario is investing $25.5 million to protect our agri-food supply chain by supporting this crucial sector's work to supply safe, high-quality, locally produced food. COVID-19 has affected our mental health as well as our physical health. Our government's historic $3.8 billion investment in mental health includes $176 million this year to help expand critical mental health services vital during the COVID-19 pandemic. In September, we introduced our $2.8 billion plan for the second wave, which includes $1.4 billion for more testing and contact tracing, $70 million for the largest flu shot campaign in Canada's history, $284 million to clear the backlog COVID-19 created in our hospitals. This will ensure that 60,000 essential surgeries can happen. We are also protecting our most vulnerable. Today, we are announcing $30 million of support for group homes, women's shelters, children's aid societies, and other organizations to continue infection control. And today, we are also launching a new victim support grant to support partnerships between police services, community groups, and others who will fill the gaps for victims of domestic violence. Mr. Speaker, I know that I speak for everyone in this legislature when I say that the lost lives here in Ontario in our long-term care homes and around the world remain the darkest chapter of the COVID-19 pandemic. In July, our government appointed a commission of inquiry left by Associate Chief Justice Frank Marocco to provide answers for families, lessons we can learn, and solutions to ensure that such a tragedy never happens again. But just as the second wave is not waiting, Mr. Speaker, neither are we. We know there are steps that need to be taken right now to strengthen the long-term care system in our province. Years of inaction by governments of all stripes have led to an unacceptable situation, including bed shortages and staffing challenges. Between 2011 and 2018, just 611 beds were built in this province when tens of thousands were needed. These challenges are not simple to solve, but our government is determined to act. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we have made close to $800 million available to protect our loved ones in long-term care. And when we announced this week that we will make Ontario the leader among Canadian provinces in terms of the quality of care for our loved ones. Our government is investing $1.7 billion to build more beds and upgrade existing ones, part of an investment that will create 30,000 new beds. We are moving forward with the Campus of Care model, a pilot that will see new, modern, long-term care beds built in months, not in years. The Campus of Care pilot will add 1,280 beds in Mississauga, Ajax, and Toronto by 2022. But, Mr. Speaker, it is not just about the quantity of beds. The quality of care is even more important. That is why we are committing to an average of 4 hours of direct care for each day for our loved ones. Ontario is the first province in Canada to take this important step. The challenges of finally fixing our long-term care system are complex and will require partnerships with labour, homes, and training providers to recruit and train tens of thousands of new staff over the next 4 years. Mr. Speaker, we know the incredible caregivers that work in our long-term care homes, the PSWs and the nurses, that they are working through very, very challenging circumstances. Our entire province is stepping up behind them. And, Mr. Speaker, as COVID-19 continues to threaten our health, we will continue to protect the people of Ontario. Mr. Speaker, support is the second pillar of our plan. COVID-19 has brought severe challenges and economic difficulties for families and communities across Ontario. Since the beginning, we have promised to be there to help those struggling the most, and today we are expanding that support. This starts with giving back to all of the seniors who have built this province. we provided $75 million in relief by doubling the guaranteed annual income system payment for the 194,000 of our lowest income seniors. We allocated $16 million to the Ontario Community Support Program that helped deliver 230,000 meals and other essentials to low-income seniors and people with disabilities. We will extend this program in 2021 so deliveries can continue to homes, particularly during the winter months. COVID-19 has reminded us all that our homes are a special place where we should feel safe. But for many seniors, staying in their homes requires expensive improvements, such as wheelchair ramps and stability bars, to make them safe and make them accessible. So, Mr. Speaker, we are proposing a new Seniors Home Safety Tax Credit for the 2021 tax year. This investment will help tens of thousands of seniors stay in their homes that they love longer. The tax credit will be worth 25% of up to $10,000 in eligible expenses and will be available for every senior, whether or not they pay taxes. It means an Ontario senior or a family with a grandparent living in their home would receive $2,500 back for a $10,000 renovation to make their home safer. Mr. Speaker, helping our precious seniors stay in their home is something we all can support. The government is also increasing funding to the Seniors Active Living programs by 22% for a total of $17 million. This will help seniors stay active, engaged and independent while also monitoring and managing public health advice. Mr. Speaker, as I said, our province and our country have been through difficult times before, and nobody knows this better than our elders. We all owe them deep appreciation for the province that they have built, and we are proud to support them, especially during this challenging time. Mr. Speaker, parents also need support. Whether kids are attending school online, in person, or a mix of both, every parent in Ontario is feeling the strain of COVID-19. As part of our commitment to keep students safe, we made available $1.3 billion of support in our safe reopening of schools, the most robust and comprehensive plan in the entire country. Our thanks go to the parents and teachers and staff whose daily vigilance and hard work ensures that our kids are both safe and learning. We are also investing in new programs that can help kids learn online, creating new, more accessible digital curriculum. Our government continues as well to look to the future. That's why we're investing $13 billion over the next 10 years, including $1.4 billion this year and $1.9 billion next year in vital capital improvements for new schools and existing schools. But we also need to deal with today's challenges. We have all heard from parents about the new expenses that supporting their kids' education during COVID-19 have brought on. The government cannot end the global pandemic, but it will provide a measure of support through our Support for Learners program. Parents will once again receive a payment of $200 per child under 12, $250 per child under 21 with special needs. This $380 million investment builds on the $378 million provided to parents during the first wave of COVID-19. So an Ontario family with three children, including one with special needs, would receive $1,300 this year to help cover the costs of accessible workplaces, technology, and enable online learning. Mr. Speaker, this is money well spent. Mr. Speaker, like many in the province, I have been reflecting on the important conversations that have been happening in communities about anti-Black racism. Ontario is a place where every person deserves respect and the opportunity to be all that they can be. Unfortunately, systemic racism and other forms of hate still get in the way, and that is simply unacceptable. In many cases, COVID-19 has exacerbated existing inequities. Important work is already underway to address these issues. One example is the Black Youth Action Plan. Today, I am proud to announce that our government is doubling the base funding of the Black Youth Action Plan, providing an additional $60 million over the next 3 years. Consultations are underway by the Premier's Council on Equity of Opportunity, chaired by the Premier's Advocate for Community Opportunities, Jamil Javani, and working with community partners to inform and target these additional investments. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to remove social and economic barriers for Black, Indigenous and racialized youth and put more opportunities within their reach through our education equity strategies and the work of the Council. And Mr. Speaker, we've talked often in this House about small business owners, and all of us know small business owners that are struggling with COVID-19. We see the anxiety in their eyes when they're getting a haircut or when we stop by our favourite restaurant. These anchors of our community employ our neighbours, our friends and our family. COVID-19 has hit them hard, but in Ontario they have responded with resolve and resilience that has been nothing short of heroic. They have adapted and provided a safe experience for their employees and for their customers. And we have worked with our partners at the federal and municipal levels to support these job creators. We've made available $300 million to assist businesses with fixed costs, including property taxes and energy bills. That money will begin to flow this month. We've provided $60 million in one-time grants of up to $1,000 of PPE for business. We've invested $57 million with the federal government in the Digital Main Street program that has already helped 23,000 businesses build an online presence. We will continue a critical source of revenue by allowing restaurants to permanently sell alcohol along with their food delivery orders. We've partnered with the federal government to support 64,000 small businesses with $960 million of rent assistance for the first 6 months of the pandemic. Now, at the time, we and many others expressed concerns about that rent program, how it was structured, and the fact that it was dealing with landlords and not with tenants. Mr. Speaker, I'm very glad to see the legislation for the new program introduced in the federal House, and I call upon all federal parties to work together to see that it is passed and implemented quickly. Ontario's action plan, Protect, Support and Recover, is going further for those who need it. And few need it more than our hard-hit tourism operators. We expect that travelling within Ontario will be safer soon than travelling beyond our borders, which is great, because as a tourist, Ontario has something for everyone. Right here in Ontario, you can go on a world-class wine tour, visit exceptional exhibits, go hunting, fishing, camping, skating, skiing, snowmobiling. Ontario has some of the best cultural attractions in the world. All of us can support our tourism operators by making 2021 the year of the Ontario staycation, and we will help out as our government provides Ontario residents with a 20% tax credit for tourism expenses. We look forward to working closely with our partners in the tourism industry, and will release details again when it is safe. COVID-19 has been a challenge for many organizations that make up the fabric of our communities. Today, we are launching the $100 million Community Building Fund that will support tourism, culture and sport organizations that are facing significant pressures due to the pandemic. Funding will be available through the Ontario Trillium Foundation and will help organizations like museums, theatres, fairs and cultural institutions sustain operations in the short term, while helping municipalities, nonprofit sports and recreation organizations invest for the long term. We are also investing $26 million to support the upgrade of Ontario's parks and expand and protect Ontario's green spaces in partnership with groups like the Nature Conservancy of Canada. Ontario is also providing one-time funding of $25 million for Ontario's arts institutions to help cover operating losses during COVID-19. We are supporting our province's outstanding agriculture and horticulture societies with more funding this year to help cover losses from fall fair cancellations and other events that are so important to our rural communities. And we have also established the COVID-19 Relief Fund for Francophone nonprofits to ensure these vital organizations continue contributing to Ontario's vibrant French-speaking communities. Mr. Speaker, as COVID-19 continues to create challenges, we will continue to be there to support Ontario. Recover is the third pillar of our plan. It is about direct actions and help that we will get to people today, but will also be providing hope for tomorrow. As we deal with the day-to-day anxiety and impacts of COVID-19, it may seem ambitious to some to start to talk about recovery. But someday, hopefully soon, COVID-19 will fade, and every government in the world will be focused on recovering from the economic crisis that the pandemic has caused. For Ontario to recover, we need strong, sustained economic growth. We cannot expect our economy just to bounce back, and we cannot expect lost jobs to return on their own. We need to start working on the recovery now. There are long-standing structural barriers that we all know, without action, will prevent the growth necessary for job recovery and economic recovery. They existed before COVID-19, but what was a strong headwind for job creators before will become a hurricane in the post-COVID world. Failing to act today will cost the people of Ontario tomorrow. So we are not waiting to act. We are protecting, creating jobs now and in the future. With a plan that trains workers, a plan that addresses job-killing electricity prices and regulation, a plan that reduces taxes on job, and a plan to connect every home, business and farm in Ontario to broadband. These efforts include a recognition of the disproportionate effect of the burden of COVID-19 on women. When I hear reports that 1/3 of Canadian women are now considering leaving the workforce, that is an alarm bell. That is why we created 16,000 licensed childcare positions this year, a 4% increase. But more is needed, and we remain committed to our promise to create 30,000 licensed childcare positions. We have also provided families with the care tax credit to help cover the cost of childcare. Families can receive 75% of their childcare expenses, or up to $6,000 per child. It is indisputable that childcare challenges brought on by the pandemic have disproportionately impacted women, and that many of the heavily impacted sectors, such as hospitality and tourism, employ a high percentage of female workers. Now is the time to invest in retraining our workers so that they are ready to contribute to the recovery of our province. Our government is investing an additional $181 million in employment services training to connect workers in industries most affected and put them into touch with the industries that have skill shortages. This includes $100 million through Employment Ontario skills training. It also includes $60 million to help support workers acquire in-demand skills rapidly to support faster transitions to new jobs. We are also launching an unprecedented skilled trade strategy, breaking stigma, simplifying the system, and encouraging employer participation in training and apprenticeships. Taken together, these initiatives will help job seekers, particularly those hardest hit by COVID-19, to get the skills they need. Now, the economic impacts of COVID-19 have played out in many ways, but many of them similar around the globe. But the mess that we inherited in the electricity system in our province is Ontario's alone. Time and again, we've heard employers consider Ontario as a place to locate or expand their business, but then decide to go elsewhere because the province's electricity costs were just too high. Like Northern Cables in Brockville, who faced a higher cost of business because of Ontario electricity prices against the competitors they had south of the border. Or Gardeau Steel, a major employer in Whitby, in an industry that requires significant electricity. Mr. Speaker, we are fixing this with our competitive plan to reduce job-killing electricity prices. The problem is the result of unnecessary contracts signed by the previous government as part of the Green Energy Act for electricity Ontario does not need and at prices that we could not afford. A small number of people did very well from these contracts, Mr. Speaker, but the rest of us are left paying the bill. For example, the price of electricity for commercial businesses increased by 118% between 2008 and 2019. That's 5 times the rate of inflation, Mr. Speaker, and that is just too much. Employers, big and small, have told us that despite all Ontario has to offer, it simply does not make sense for them to come here and expand their operations because the cost of electricity is so much higher than in competing jurisdictions. That means lost jobs and lost opportunities for people across this province. We repealed the Green Energy Act, Mr. Speaker, in order to stop the abuses. But we know that's not enough, especially now that high electricity prices threaten the economic recovery. And that is why we're announcing our plan to responsibly wind down these high-cost contracts once and for all. To protect and create jobs, the excess costs of these contracts signed by previous governments will be funded by the province starting January 1st. Removing these costs from electricity bills will save industrial and commercial employers 14% and 16% respectively. For a mine in Northern Ontario, this means a savings of $270,000 a month or $3.2 million a year. For an automotive parts manufacturer in Mississauga, savings will be $31,000 a month or $382,000 a year. For a small gym in Grimsby, this is a savings of $800 a month or nearly $10,000 a year. As a result of our comprehensive plan, Ontario will go from being one of the least competitive jurisdictions with the cost of electricity to one of the most competitive. Mr. Speaker, that will be better than the U.S. average and better than most of the Great Lakes states that we compete with for manufacturing and commercial jobs. Paired with Ontario's clean energy advantage, this gives our province a significant leg up and will lead to more jobs, growth, and economic recovery. The cost of these contracts will decline over time, beginning at $1.3 billion over the next 3 years, and costing the province less over time until the last contract expires in 2040. It is unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, that the previous government left Ontario in this situation. But we cannot undo the past. We must move forward, and we must support our job creators. Our government is also acting to reduce and eliminate taxes on jobs. Back in March, we more than doubled the employer health tax exemption to $1 million. We heard from employers across Ontario that this measure helped them keep workers on the job during COVID-19. Now is not the time for anybody, anywhere, to impose increases or charges on employers that affect jobs. So we are proposing to make this exemption permanent. That means an additional 30,000 Ontario small and medium-sized employers will no longer pay this tax. But, Mr. Speaker, that is just a start. Mr. Speaker, the budget consultations this year look very different, with social distancing and Zoom meetings, but you know, the people of Ontario came forward with fantastic ideas. I should mention I am grateful to the Standing Committee on Finance and Economic Affairs from all parties who participated and contributed to the important work of consultation at this critical time. Now, one suggestion that came up time and again from municipalities and employers related to unfair property taxes. Ed Holder, the Mayor of London, and other municipal leaders were some of the most compelling voices. We heard loud and clear that levelling the playing field and addressing unfair property tax rates was one of the most important things we could do to immediately support employers and support them for the future. Property taxes are one of the most unavoidable costs that a business faces. They must be paid, even when business is slow, and it has been slow for many, many people this year. In Ontario, there is a wide range of business education tax rates across this province, despite promises made by previous governments to fix this inequity. This creates an unfair challenge for businesses operating in communities that have the higher rates. So we are acting immediately to reduce these high rates by $450 million in 2021. Rates will be reduced to 0.88%. For many employers, this will represent a 30% reduction. Mr. Speaker, it means for a small employer, like a boutique hotel in London, they will save $44,000 annually. That's significant savings, especially when you consider that that's money competitors in other parts of Ontario are not paying. Over 200,000 businesses, or 94% of properties in Ontario, are going to benefit starting January 1st. We've also heard from many municipalities, including Mayor John Tory in Toronto, that they want the flexibility to provide targeted relief to businesses in their communities that need it most during these tough times. So we are proposing to empower municipalities with a new tool to provide a property tax reduction for small businesses. Ontario will match these municipal property tax deductions and further reduce taxes on jobs. Taken together, let's consider the impact of this on businesses in your communities. Consider a typical Toronto bakery. If the municipality decides on a 30% discount, they would receive $5,000 in municipal tax relief and $4,000 in relief from the province, $9,000. Combined with the $1,500 in our business property tax reduction, that bakery owner would receive a total of $10,500 in property tax in 2021. As any business owner will tell you, that could be the difference between being able to grow and having to close your doors. Once again, Mr. Speaker, this is help now, and this is help for the future. One of the greatest frustrations during COVID-19 has been the lack of reliable, high-speed internet and cell service for too many households in Ontario due to the lack of inadequate broadband infrastructure. Now, this isn't just an abstract first-world problem. These days, the lack of reliable internet makes it almost impossible to earn a living, get an education, see your doctor, or stay in touch with loved ones. COVID-19 has only amplified this challenge. Mr. Speaker, our vision is to see a broadband connection in every family and business and farm in the province of Ontario. This is the vital infrastructure of the 21st century. That is why we are making additional investments of over $680 million over the next 4 years for the next phase of our plan, and that will include a doubling of our commitment to the Improved Connectivity in Ontario program. This brings our government's total commitment to rural broadband expansion to $1 billion. Now, working with partners in the private sector and other levels of government, Mr. Speaker, this investment will be leveraged many, many times. And we urge our federal government to keep their promise, Mr. Speaker, and increase and accelerate the funds for vital broadband projects here in Ontario. Mr. Speaker, as COVID-19 continues to cause uncertainty in the global economy, we will continue to support Ontario for the future. And, Mr. Speaker, back in March, when I introduced the first phase of Ontario's action plan, I said that our response to COVID-19 would define our generation. I said that our response as a province and as a country would shape the character of the next generation. When historians look back at this moment, they will see that this generation has been as strong as any. They will see the greatness of our people's character. It is clear that we are not out of the woods yet. But as I said before, we have been through difficult times before, and we have come through stronger. And it's not just students of history that realize this. The people of Ontario already know it. Never in my life have I heard so many people say how happy they are to be Canadian. We have not let the virus divide us. We care for each other. We respect each other, even when we sometimes disagree with each other. Our civil society, that is our great strength. Ontario remains one of the great workshops of the world, the only jurisdiction in North America with 5 major auto manufacturers, companies that build planes and trains and even spacecraft. We remain home to the best and brightest minds in the world, architects of insulin, open-heart surgery, and now research into COVID-19 vaccines and treatments. We remain the economic heart of this country, but even more importantly, the real beating heart of this country, because nowhere else will you find more selfless, compassionate, hardworking people than right here in this beautiful province. Mr. Speaker, it is the greatest honour of my life to represent the people of my community of Ajax here in this legislature. A community where, like in much of the GTA, half of its citizens are born outside of Canada. They came here not just to benefit from living in the best country in the world, but to make a real difference, to contribute. People like my friend Selva, who left Jaffna in Sri Lanka in the 1980s during that country's civil war. Like Bogus and Bazard, who escaped the Syrian civil war and came to Canada in 2012. And like Anand, a doctor who served in Liberia during that country's Ebola pandemic in 2014 and then settled in Canada after serving in that epidemic. When we reflect on the challenges the people of Ontario, the people of our province have been through, It is no wonder the Ontario spirit is so strong. On the eve of Remembrance Day, let us never forget that the people of Ontario have been through challenging times before, and they have come out the other side stronger. And your government will continue to be there for you and your family as we do that again. As the Premier reminds us, like clockwork at 1 p.m. every day, we have your back, and we always will. Today is neither the first step or the last step, but it is an important step in our fight against COVID-19. Together, we will face whatever lies ahead. We will protect and support each other. We will beat COVID-19, and together, we will recover and prosper. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I recognize the member for London West.
Thank you, Speaker. I move adjournment of the debate.
Adler has moved the adjournment of the debate. Is it the pleasure of the House that the motion carry? Carried. Does the Minister of Finance wish to introduce a bill at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that leave be given to introduce a bill entitled An Act to Implement Budget Measures and an Act to amend and repeal